I was wondering, as you get prepared, you travel around the world, and you always have this kind of response from an audience. There's 4,000 people here. A lot of them are families. There's believers, non-believers. What is it like to have that response around the world?
And actually, among my best friends, many scientists, many of them non-believer. So that's quite natural.
I'm interested in speaking science with you a little bit later. I know that you have a passion for that, but I'm curious what it was like for you to grow up. What role did perhaps your mother play in your childhood? Amala.
Oh yes, mother, very important role. As I mentioned earlier, we all come from our mother. So we all received maximum affection from our mother. So that is the seed of our compassion. Person who very much appreciate others' affection, basically, that person also have the potential to show affection to others. So in that respect, not only we human being, but other animals, you see, who grown up under mother's care, all have this sort of biologically sort of level affection. All have. So now we human beings, this special brain, immense ability to think, to analyze. So with help of our intelligence, we have the sort of ability to strengthen, to increase our love. Biological level, our love only towards our own friend. That very much related with, that very much oriented about their attitude. So, so-called enemy, negative attitude towards you, we cannot extend our love. But use human intelligence. Enemy, also part of humanity, part of my neighbor. Usually our enemy only among our sort of neighbor who knows each other. Unknown people, difficult to develop anger. Only among our neighbors. So therefore, you see, your own happy life, happy family, very much related with these neighbors. I have some story. You know, in India, some of my Indian friends, as he told me, the suicide case in city, big number. In village, much less. Why? In the village, you see still the sense of neighbor. This is my neighbor, this is my neighbor. So sense of community more alive. So when some difficulties experiences, then, oh, I can ask my neighbor like that. In big city, everybody, their daily life, very busy. And I think like Japanese, when we met one stranger, go that. That's all. So not much sort of human interaction. So therefore, when people who are in big city, some problems start, then they have the feeling lonely, no helper. So then suicide takes place. So therefore, you see, human affection, sense of community is very essential. So we, biologically, you see, we have, you see, that potential. Now use human intelligence. Then my neighbor, although his or her attitude towards me not very pleasant, but still our neighbor.
That's right.
So sooner or later, I have to sort of rely on them. So keep these things, then that we human being can do, other animals cannot. So therefore, that is the second level of love or compassion. Irrespective what is their attitude, but they are part of humanity, part of my neighbor. So I have to give genuine love to them. So first level of love is biased. Second love is unbiased. That's much, much stronger. We can do that. Yes?
Holiness, you left your parents' home when you were 4,
Oh.
little tiny boy, and I believe your mother made you treats on the weekends when you went to stay with her.
Lovely. Kind.
So our mother, very, very compassionate mother. I often used to telling my mother sort of, I think almost infinite love. It was, I think her neighbor also. Her, then of course, no question, her children. Sometimes, and particularly me, I think sometimes I feel I spoiled too much my affection from my mother. So as a villager, farmer, nothing to play, of course no television. So usually my mother, when she working in farm, she always carried me on her sort of shoulder. I also feel very happy. And then I become bolder, so hold my mother's ear when I want to go this side. This side.
Steering her.
Like this.
When mother, you see, not listen, my guidance, then I shout. Give some punishment to my mother.
I like this. I thought you had a very humble upbringing, and I've seen pictures of your home, but you travel so much throughout the world. Where is home? Like, where do you feel at home, and where your place is, your home?
Home? Oh, there is a Tibetan saying, the place where you feel happy, and also, you see, you have the opportunity to utilize your own, your own work or your own usefulness. That's your home. And whoever who gives you smile, affection, that's your parent. It's quite good, isn't it? Now, especially when we become refugee, that advice is very useful.
Your Holiness, the world has changed quite significantly, and in your upbringing, you said no television, very little contact for the outside world. You've obviously seen the world develop, the world modernize. How have you kept up to date with the changes in the world?
Of course, since my childhood, I think I must confess, when I was young, of course, it is compulsory, carry study. So I'm very, very lazy student. No interest for study. Instead of study these texts, philosophical texts, I found pictorial books. I found read, look. Although I cannot, at that time, so I cannot read properly.
Okay.
But still, I have interest to look at different pictorial books. So then, the outside world, quite familiar in my mind. Basically like that. So then, when I come to India, firstly, I think when I come to India, 1956, then it's because of information or pictures I already saw, so quite familiar. Then 1973, went to Europe and several countries. Then 79, Soviet Union, and then America. So this is quite familiar, not much problem. Then after all, you see the conviction, we are same human being. That really makes differences. If you too much emphasis, we and they, then some distance. If we consider we are same, then immediately come closer. That's very important.
Do you think the best days of the world are behind us, or the best days of the world are still to come?
그래서 I think past, for example, past century inspired great achievements in that century, 20th century. But I think that century more or less become century of bloodshed.
Okay.
Although you see some pockets, some violence here and there at the beginning of the 21st century, I think overall picture, I think a desire for peace, especially including scientists. There's many scientists now really sort of, what should they consider importance of our inner value. And then, I think previously, among the politicians' sort of speech, I think word of compassion is a no seat there. Eventually, now more and more politicians' sort of statement also now use the word compassion. Now things are changing. Things are changing. Then non-violence. When Gandhiji sort of say carry non-violent struggle, ahimsa, non-violence, then I think many people, mainly from the West, consider that a sign of weakness. Eventually, I think that concept changed. And Nelson Mandela, his previous the early period, he also a little bit of violent sort of thinking. Then later, he completely followed Mahatma Gandhi's non-violent sort of principle. Then also look, Luther King. Although I never met Luther King, when I visited America, he no longer there, but I know I met widow, his wife, and his children. So one time, the Luther King's sort of wife, she told me on a story, the Luther King so much attracted towards Mahatma Gandhi. So he even wanted to dress Mahatma Gandhi's dress. So then, when I heard that, I felt I got some kind of image Luther King like Mahatma Gandhi's dress, like Indian beggar. I cannot think sorry, like that. So that means he's so much attracted towards Mahatma Gandhi's, not only sort of political or freedom struggle sort of as a pattern, non-violence, but also you see his personal sort of life. I think he very much attracted like that. So then, although not very successful, not very effective, but Palestine leader and Kasadi Jewish leader, Kazati, now I forget, you see, got Nobel Peace Prize together, like that. So now Mahatma Gandhi's sort of non-violent sort of movement, I think many people really, whether they truly believe or not, you see, quite often, you see, they refer Mahatma Gandhi's non-violent sort of struggle. So that's human way of approach. Any problem which essentially created by human being, that's a human problem. Any human problem must solve through human way of approach. That's talk, dialogue, with spirit of reconciliation. No matter how serious differences, but basically still part of humanity, we have to live together, we have to share each other. Like that. So, so I think, and then look, I often receive mentioning 1996, I had the opportunity, one audience of Queen Mother, or late Queen Mother of England. When I met her, since at that year, her own sort of age, 96. So I asked her, since you observed almost whole the century, so humanity or world become better or same or worse without hesitation. She responded, better. When she was young, nobody talked about human right or right of self-determination. Nowadays, these concepts become universal, she told me. Then another sort of story. One German physicist, quantum physicist, late von Weizsäcker. Actually, I consider my tutor. I learned about quantum physics, von Weizsäcker, as well as Kasachibu Kasa. Kasachibu American Kasa.
David Bohm.
Oh, David Bohm, yes. These two I consider as my teacher, quantum physics. So in 90s, one occasion, von Weizsäcker told me when he was young, every German eye, French is their enemy. Similarly, in French eye, German is their enemy. Now that now completely changed.
Absolutely.
So, world, I feel, early part of 20th century, the later part of 20th century, I think much positive things develop. So, this 21st century, continuation of that century. So I think the desire for peace, I think decade by decade growing. When Iraq crisis about to happen, millions of people demonstrate against war. In early part of 20th century, when nation declare war on their neighbor, on their enemy, every citizen of the nation voluntarily, happily joined war effort. I think during First World War, Second World War, Australians and the New Zealanders, as a British soldier, used to join proudly, I think. Like that. So now the thinking, I think human beings thinking, I think changing, I think much changing. In the previous, I think early part of 20th century, people feel science and spirituality is something completely different road. With help of quantum physics and some others, now these two things, two concepts, have come closer. And then also religious harmony. In the past, you see, each religion very much emphasis concept of one truth, one religion. Now that changing. Like I usually call Polish Pope, Kasa Komendi.
John Paul II.
Pope John Paul II. No? When he started RCC meeting, so the concept of pluralism among religions, you see, start. These things shows we human beings becoming more realistic, more mature as a result of wider contact with each other. Previously, each nation, each community more or less remained isolated. So very little contact.
So there is hope for humanity. We see that the best years could be in the future. What's exciting for you about the world? Is it the new technology? Is it the embrace of humanity for each other through compassion? What is it about the world that you'd look forward to in the future?
I think technology, I think very helpful, basically very helpful to know each other and to know the reality. So then, I think in the 60s, 70s, for example, 73, my first visit Europe, Italy, Swiss, and I think then England, and I think a few more, I think, country. I think people showing some interest about these secular ethics, these things. I think much less. Now 80s, 90s, 2000, more and more people really showing. And among the scientists, more and more scientists now really show us because of the recognition, importance of our inner value, inner peace. I think these through education. I think we get more and more deeper knowledge about human nature or humanity. So I feel future, as I mentioned in my own talk, if we make attempt with clear vision, I think this 21st century can be peaceful, not only just this century peaceful, but the future century, 22nd century, 23rd century. I think if we build this century more peaceful through education, through awareness, then I think the future century will follow that. That's my view.
Your Holiness, is education...
Then global warming is beyond our control. Difficult.
Okay. With education without ethics, does it just become indoctrination? Is that what it is? What type of education do we need for the future?
Educate reality. Not talking about heaven or hell or to Buddhahood. No, not talking these things.
No.
Simply how to build happy humanity, happy world. So this nothing to do with because of the dogmas or right. What do you mean?
So I think there's a problem with the education that we have, that there's not enough ethics. The children aren't taught this, and
Yes.
this is a human quality that we need, around the world.
Yes.
And I feel as though if you have an education without ethics, you're just being
Without-
told it's indoctrination.
Sometimes
I
Australian
think we're
accent.
agreeing.
Yes. Without, okay. Okay. Yes, without sort of ethics or whatever you call ethics, ethics should not consider something based on holy or something. No. Here, ethics means, you see, any action which brings happiness. Ultimately, I think virtues, non-virtues, based on our feeling of joyfulness and sadness. Anything, any action which brings sadness is non-virtue. Anything brings joyfulness, that's right. So we can ask animal, giving food and give some affection, they feel happy. Nothing to do with religion, nothing to do with faith. So those actions or attitude which they feel happy, it is moral. Any sort of attitude which brings fear on the animal, that is non-virtue. I feel like that. So ethics should be in that sense. Any action which brings joyfulness, happiness, and happiness, joyfulness, very much related with peace. Killing, anger, destroy that. So anger, violence is non-virtues, right? Non-virtues. Compassion, helping each other, share each other, that's virtues. So we should not sort of take these virtues in the contents of or religious sort of matter, like that. So that's meaning of secular.
We have a number of questions that have come from around Australia, and people want to know things. So we're going to link some of these. So we'll start over with Michelle. And I apologize to everyone over here for turning my back as well, but hopefully we answer some of your questions.
All right. This one's from Marissa from the Sunshine Coast, Your Holiness. And she has this lady called Marissa. I think she's in the room. Love. It's a very common question, yes? We're asked by the Buddhist philosophy to love without attachment. How do we do that? I love you, Your Holiness, but I think I'm attached to you as well. How can I fix it?
You know, I think the true unbiased love is love towards your enemy. Not foolish way. You accept, you recognize that person really creates a lot of problem for me. So clearly understand that's enemy. They're still human being. So respect them. Keep serious concern of their well-being. That is genuine love. So attachment, of course, you see, according the Oxford Dictionary, I don't know, very sort of precise meaning, I don't know. But usually, you see, I use the attachment means some kind of biased love and very much oriented about others' attitude. So someone who nice to you, then develop some kind of love, but very much mixed with attachment.
Sonia,
So I think parents love towards children, like other animal also. That's very much mixed with attachment.
Sonia from Brisbane asked a similar
I
thing.
think one difference is the attachment or love mixed with attachment, slightest sort of, because of the attitude, immediately change your love. The other love, unbiased love, no matter what their attitude, you can still give love. So the second love, mainly through training, through reasoning. The first one, mainly biological factor. Clear?
When you talk about, and this is from Sonia from Brisbane, when you talk about compassion, kindness, and open-heartedness, you often mention the heart. She's confused in regards to how we use mind and heart, and if they are the same thing.
그래서 hard. Right. Oh. When I use the word warm-heartedness or heart, I simply learned from English word. I don't know exactly. So heart certainly is not refer, did this bumping, dog, not that. Usually I think mind mainly related with brain. Heart means something warmth. According to my understanding, like that. So I use the word, I use also some other people would say education for heart, or warm-heartedness, like that. But if you emphasize more more subtle level explanation, then my answer will be, I don't know.
Okay. Your Holiness, when we think of science, a lot of people, we learn science, this is what we learn at school, and we see it sitting here. And often we see religion sitting there. But my understanding is you see that there's a mix between religion and science. Can you explain it, please?
But, the one I usually call the Polish Pope, and then the German Pope. He's still alive. I had one audience with him. So he is used to say, reasons and faith should go together. So that means faith, of course, religion. The reason very much related with science, investigate, the knowledge of reality. So it is true. I think religion, I think two kind of faith, I think there can be two levels. Some just to say faith, because my family follow this religion, that religion, and I follow. Not much sort of investigation. Another, you see, difficult life. Then think about the concept of God or these things. Then, you see, bring some inner peace. So that faith through reasoning. So then, as I mentioned earlier, Buddhism and as well as Jainism, and another very, very ancient Indian tradition, that is Sankhyaism. These three, you see, no concept of God, creator. So, for example, Buddha stated, all my follower, monks, scholars, should not accept my teaching out of faith, out of devotion, but through thorough investigation and experiment. So it is quite clear. You use reason, investigation, and faith together. So I think the faith should have some relation to our day-to-day life when we're facing some problem which beyond our control or our means or our control. Then faith keeps hope. Faith gives you some kind of still optimism. Without faith, things become beyond your control. Then truly hopeless. Then finally, or mad, or suicide. So our life problem bound to happen. So when we face a problem which we cannot overcome by our own means, then faith keeps hope. So quite useful. Then there is a different faith, as I mentioned earlier. Like that.
With science and with this area, is it quantum physics that you're interested, or is it a different type of science?
Oh yes, of course. Over 30 years, I have sort of serious sort of dialogue or interaction with scientists, mainly 4 fields: cosmology, neurobiology. So they have very detailed knowledge about the function of the brain and very small particles in the brain. What do you call just the so really wonderful. And it's a certain part of brain. They have a different name. And I think here, what we call mandala or something.
Amidala.
So that's usually, you see, related with emotions. So these are really useful to learn. And to me, a person who also sort of study about Buddhist psychology and science of mind. So, you see, the relation, movement in certain part of brain and different emotions. Really very, very interesting. Very interesting. So that's biology, neurobiology, then physics, including quantum physics, then psychology. So after 30 years of series of discussion, we found mutual benefit to scientists, knowledge about emotions and the system of emotion. They found very, very useful, which information from ancient Indian psychology, including Buddhist psychology. They really find very useful. Then to us, the cosmology, all these, like Big Bang theory, or our whole galaxies, millions of limitless galaxies, how it form and disappear. It's very, very useful. And of course, neurobiology, very helpful to us. So mutual benefit. Therefore, now in our bigger monastic institution, now we formally decided should include one lesson should be science. So last now almost 10 years, firstly selected student getting science lesson. Now formally decided a final examination, their study according to their individual choice, including science subject like that. So it is very, very helpful. So 4 fields. And the quantum physics, very similar. One, my Indian friend, Rajaramana, a nuclear physicist. Now he no longer. I think more than 10 years. One occasion in Delhi, on our meeting, he mentioned he found the concept of quantum physics in one text wrote by one great Indian, also the philosopher, second, third century. So the concept of quantum physics already there. Then he told me, he as an Indian, so he feels very proud. The quantum physics, that concept in the world, something new. But in India, 2,000 years ago, already found is that concept. He told me. So then I also have some sort of discussion with the quantum physicist. Very, very interesting. So as a matter of fact, coming November, we will have one conference, especially about quantum physics and Buddhist philosophy and quantum physics sort of view, some discussion. So I'm looking forward to that.
Holiness, when someone is what we think of as a bad person, they hurt animals, they hurt people, is it then up to us to concentrate on the fact that they are suffering and manifest compassion for them because of that? Is that what we have to do?
That's right. You see, those sort of cruel sort of people, or people who committed mercilessly sort of killing other people. Like now these things are now happening. So you should. I mean, there's plenty of reason to feel concern. They want a happy life. And obviously, they want good name. Good name is always. Good image. Then there are sort of activities actually very, very harmful. Their sort of image or their their name, like that. Then, due to short-sightedness, too much emotion, so they actually become slave of destructive emotion and ultimately slave of ignorance. So already they suffer out of these tremendous sort of strong negative emotion. In their mind, no longer any peace of mind. Then not only that, in future, they're committing very negative action. So they have to face negative consequences for a long run. So sufficient reason to feel concern.
This is a question from Wayne from Scone. He had a double lung transplant 3.5 years ago.
Double what?
A double lung transplant 3.5 years ago, and I wish to know is it good karma for my donor and other people to donate, or is it one body, one life? He had a difficult time coming to terms with the death of his donor. What are your thoughts?
가져라. 수종네. 당선이. 그러니까 저랬어. So, yes, certainly, there are many sort of stories, as far as Buddhism is concerned, many stories of, a great practitioner, including the one of previous life, or many previous lives of Buddha Shakyamuni. He often used to giving his organ to other people. So, of course, we consider that's very good, provided sort of good motivation, and very good. And Takata. So sometimes people ask me at the time of death, you see, they will any my organ is used to some patient, I'm willing to give. That's very good. One Tibetan master, my teacher's generation, wonderful sort of scholar as well as a practitioner. At the end of his life, he told his friend, usually you see, sometimes with Tibetan, some great teachers like that, like him, usually used to be burnt. So then he asked his sort of friend, my body should not burn. Then useless, wasted. So my body give as a vulture at least one meal, those vultures. Although I imagine, you see, his body quite thin. So vulture may not much sort of festival, but still, so some flesh there. So therefore, you see, he sort of asked his sort of friend, my body should make sort of available to some of these vultures, like that. And then one organ, something, if something useful to another person, wonderful, wonderful.
And understanding this with reincarnation, there's two questions here. One's from Derek, and it's how do I logically confirm that reincarnation is a real phenomena? And also with reincarnation, this is from Ralph from Ocean Shores. And I think this question will relate to what you were just talking about. But Buddhism teaches us that there is no independently existing self or soul. So what is it exactly that's being reincarnated?
I think this morning and also yesterday, I think several times repeated. You see, when we talk about selflessness, does not mean no self. So self is there. So self designated on a combination of body and mind. Body and mind also, there are three levels: grosser level, more subtle level, most subtle level. So grosser level and more subtle level, body and mind, in the time, from time to time change. The subtle level of body and mind, no beginning, no end. So then self designated on a combination of subtle point, subtle mind, no beginning, no end. Go like that. So, but here, the reason, like Dharmakirti is mentioned, any phenomena which is momentarily changing, there must be causes. In the cause, substantial cause and cooperative cause, two types, like this flower. Substantial cause is come from its seed. Seed come from previous flower, like that. So go like that. That's substantial cause. The cooperative cause, water, soil, and certain temperature, these are cooperative causes. So our mind, obviously, momentarily changing. So that shows there is causes. And causes, again, substantial cause, cooperative cause. Cooperative cause, for example, eye consciousness, eye organ is the cooperative causes. Now, substantial cause is similar nature. The flowers, the substantial cause, previous flower, like that. So similarly, substantial cause of consciousness must be consciousness. So at the time of conception, consciousness there. So that consciousness substantial cause is previous consciousness. So that, we thinking that line. If that first consciousness without substantial cause, then we have to accept consciousness come from non-consciousness. Then it goes similar, matters come from non-matter. Impossible. So that's the argument or reason like that. So therefore, continuation of consciousness. This present consciousness comes from previous consciousness. At the time of death, there is no cause against existence of consciousness. So therefore, the ignorance, there is sort of counter force. That's wisdom. So consciousness, no counter force. So therefore, consciousness, any phenomena which no counter force will always remain. So consciousness remain. Okay.
I swear I was
Some
tattooed in a
sense?
previous
Oh.
life, Holiness. I think I was tattooed in a previous life. I just feel like I need them back on me. Do you think that's possible?
Karsa. Karsa. What?
Translation.
You didn't listen about the part about the body.
No, I think it's in my consciousness and I need them again. It's like I remember them and I want them back. Do you think?
This is man-made,
Man-made,
not
yeah.
from birth.
No?
Not from birthmark.
I was so sure. We've just about run out of time with you, Holiness.
Yes.
You're going off to
now
Uluru.
I have to go.
You have to go. You're off to Uluru.
Oh, yes.
How exciting. You've never seen that. You've never been there
This is the
before.
first time.
First time. It's very
My
beautiful.
previous visit, aeroplane, I saw is that rock.
Yeah.
So then I very much sort of want to go there.
Yeah.
So the organizer, now they arranged now this time.
I
go there.
remember because that plane wasn't supposed to go past Uluru. It just went because you wanted to see it. And everyone in Darwin was like, where is this plane?
Yes, that also one cause for that development. And I think that desire, substantial cause is previous desire. The cooperative cause aeroplane used to go that way. Like that.
Ladies and gentlemen, please thank Ian Thorpe and His Holiness the 14th Dalai Lama.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you very much.